So you're never going to believe what happened today. Saudi Arabia just cut ties with the US dollar. This is the first time in 100 years that the dollar has had a real challenge. Just so we're clear, Saudi Arabia is one of the richest countries in the world with oil. And the dollar has been backed by oil. It's been called the petrodollar. See, the dollar used to be backed by gold. For every dollar, there was a piece of gold backing every dollar. But in 1972, 3, around there, President Nixon took us off the gold standard. So ever since then, it's been backed by nothing but oil. Really nothing, though. That's why we're able to print as much as we want. That's why we have such inflation going on in the United States and around the world. So to stay in power, we forced countries to buy oil with the dollar and only the dollar. And if they didn't, we would go in, we'd invade their country, and we would blow them up. Well, you can't just go invade Russia and invade China. They're superpowers with nuclear weapons. There's nothing you can do. And those are two countries that said, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to use the dollar. Now, they did to an extent, right? We slapped sanctions on them and stuff like that. So they did to an extent. We had partnerships with Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia said, no, we're only going to accept dollars. But that is no longer happening. Now, what does that mean for you and I? Well, that's where the BRICS nations comes in. You got Brazil, China, Russia, India. Now you got Saudi Arabia, and many other countries are joining the BRICS nations because they're sick and tired of the dollar. They're sick and tired of the United States and the warmongers. If the U.S. doesn't get their way, and I'm from America, I love the country, I love the concept, I love democracy, I love the republic, I love some of the people, not all of them, depends on which side you're leaning. But my point is, the country as a whole and the idea of America is beautiful. But the politicians have fucked everything up. They're fucking useless. So here we are today. And if this happens and 100+ countries break away from the dollar and 50% of the world's GDP stops using the dollar and starts using the yuan or a digital yuan or whatever it is, that is really bad for you and I. That means the United States will have to print more money faster and faster and faster, which eventually will turn into something called hyperinflation, where you're going to literally be waiting in line to get fucking bread. And you don't think that can happen in America? Okay, wait around and fucking see what happens. Instead of just waiting around, though, and saying, oh, that's never going to happen, or, okay, I'll do something if it happens, start buying different assets. And no, I don't mean buying homes. First of all, the average person just can't go buy a bunch of fucking houses. That's just, right? This is where I tell you guys, crypto, gold, silver, these things are going to come into play. As more dollars are printed, the Bitcoin, the crypto, the silver's value goes up. Okay? So you keep up with inflation. The money that you save into this won't dwindle away because of the money printing. Take my advice or not, but I promise you, this is going to be one of the best things, the best decisions you'll ever make. I'll say this just for legal purposes. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. But if you do your own research, or you just listen, but you do your own research if you want to. I've done thousands of hours of research on cryptocurrency, gold, silver, money, how it works, all these different things, what's going on in the world. I mean thousands of hours. And I can assure you, this is coming. Hyperinflation will happen in America. We are not invincible. As much as we want to think we are not invincible. Writing is on the wall. You see it. You see World War III. We're on the brink of World War III. But World War III may not be a nuclear war. World War III is probably going to be something to do with money and trade and oil, which could essentially turn into a war, like a real fucking war, like where we're invading countries and people are invading us and all this kind of shit. God, I hope not, but you never know. So anyways, at the end of the day, go do your own research. I promise you that this is going to happen. If you don't understand crypto, if you don't understand Bitcoin, gold, silver, why they're valuable, you need to go learn that first. Once you learn that, you'll understand why you don't want to keep holding on to dollars. So
nobody can dispute that United States of America have been #1 superpower in the world for the past 75 years. For this long period, they have unimaginable control over the air, the land, and the sea. most of which are regulated by the laws in the UN. And what gives them this imaginable superpower? Is it the military? No. What gives them this superpower is nothing other than the success they recorded at the end of the Second World War and the institutions they created and funded using their currency, the United States dollar. That United States dollar, via a carefully orchestrated, carefully designed, and carefully implemented Marshall Plan, created what we see today that give them the opportunity to overreach anywhere, extend their power everywhere, and exert control. The machine, the bloodline, and the engine that drives all this process is dollar. Today, that same dollar is under attack from left, right, and center. We can see the rise of the BRICS, the coming of the new currency, and the crisis of the entire United States financial system. All of it is going down, clearly signifying the end of the United States dollar. So if United States dollar is ending, it is going to end with the US superpower status. It means the United States will no longer be superpower again. Their inflation is going to go super high. Now, an average United States citizen is indebted to the tune of $95,000. The entire country's debt is about $31 trillion. All these dollars are tied in some assets that are principally only backed by the same dollar. So, and that dollar is just created by just fiat, by printing. So when you print money and you back it with nothing except debt, when that money becomes empty as it is, what is the value of this your debt? It means it's going to burst. And when it bursts, what happened? Every other thing you think you own, you earn, or you save, or you build is going to crash alongside it. And that's the problem that the US is facing right now. And their mainstream media is not telling everybody. So the US status as a superpower is ending. Will they just sit by and watch their power getting away? I don't think so. I think they are going to fight. The US is going to go to war. So if I am a country or I'm a leader of a country, I should begin to prepare myself for the coming Third World War. It is very clear that the US is going into war to be able to protect the value of the dollar and to maintain their status. Now, what kept dollar going for the past 40 years is the Nixon shock, removal of the dollar, tying it to gold, and then also the removal of the gold that is tied to gold before, and then tying it back using the oil. Now, the major oil giants are coming in an alliance to create their own currency. Saudi Arabia and Russia are coming together with Iran, with Syria, with Iraq, with Nigeria, with so many of the OPEC members to create their own currency that they are going to probably use the same oil to back that currency. And you can see very clearly this has started. China has gone to Russia to secure a deal. About 14 agreements were signed between Xi Jinping, the president of China, and the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. And Vladimir Putin clearly indicated his interest to use yuan as their international currency of settlement. And he said that he's going to use all their transactions in Africa, in Asia, and so many other regions of the world in yuan, clearly giving us a direction about what they are likely going to do. So if China is having a large productivity and is coming with its own currency, and you have energy coming from Russia and OPEC plus members, what do you imagine is going to happen to the United States dollar? It means the dollar is going to crumble. So US is not going to let that happen. The last remaining arsenal the United States have, or instrument the United States have to continue to maintain their dollar power, is weapons. That's why I think with almost 70 to 80% certainty that the US are going to go to war. And that is why if you look at their budget of 2023, they are projecting $850 billion. And clearly, the Secretary of Defense of the United States say that they are going to use these monies to counter the threats of China as a strategic partner and also counter Russia as a tactical partner. There is ongoing war between US and Russia through Ukraine, which likely between now to the end of this year, US will directly be involved in this war. Again, there's going to be another war with China. There's going to be contestation around the South China Sea because China wants to claim these islands. It defines its own ADIS, Air Defense Identification Zones, and built a lot of parcel islands within the South China Sea, and US is contesting that. Another important thing is that is the East China Sea, where US is still contesting by claiming to be fighting in Taiwan, to protect the independence of Taiwan. No, China insisted that there must be one China policy, which is very important, and that Taiwan is an integral part of China. But the US say no, they want to recognize the independence of Taiwan. The same crisis that is happening in Ukraine is likely going to be the same crisis they are going to orchestrate in Taiwan with China. Either Taiwan agree to go directly or the US put their military bases and confront China with that direction, whether they are going to succeed or not. But the war is likely going to start in Philippines because Philippines, just a few days ago, allowed 4 military bases for US to ready to protect the South China Sea. So when you look at this kind of dynamic coming up mode, you will see that a playground is being prepared to protect the South China Sea, and another playground is already at work in Ukraine to be able to protect NATO alliance. Where are we as Africans? Our job is number one, to align with the BRICS countries in total, because it is very clear no matter how United States want to fight this war, they are going to lose. There is no way US is going to win this war. And the probability of fighting this war rests on who becomes the president of the United States in 2024. If President Biden is re-elected to be the president on 2024, then I have 99% assurance, I'm giving you this assurance, that US is going to win. If Biden is re-elected. If Trump is re-elected, he might not directly go into the war, but probably because of his anti-globalism agenda, he will summarily withdraw from international affairs, thereby accepting a tactical surrender. Will the United States hawks allow that to happen? Then this is a very big question. And that's why no matter how President Trump is leading in polls, it's less likely that he's going to be the president and more likely that Biden is going to be elected. And if Biden is re-elected, 2025 is going to be the year for World War III. So as Africans, we should align with country that is dealing with us on partnership basis. The country that seek alliances on equal terms with us, the country would want to listen to our side of the story and also give us their own side of the story for us to agree on the workable framework on a win-win scenario, which is the BRICS countries. So we don't have business with the West any longer. You saw what Kamala Harris is here to do. She is simply coming here to reinforce neocolonialism and steal all our resources. Nothing more. Nothing more. Talking about AIDS, talking about LGBT, something that we detested all in Africa, talking about natural resources, and talking about green energy. Which green energy? What is the rate of African emission to the global warming? It is like 0.4 or 0.5%. Something very insignificant, yet we suffer the consequences, and they are not ready to negotiate with us on our terms. They want to dictate, these also to us based on their own terms and their own systems by trotting dollar on our neck so that we must accept it. No, we should look into recalibrating our relationship with China for our economy and Russia for our defenses. China, we use yuan for our international transactions, and